Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of my Dark Souls 3 walkthrough guide, the new guy guide. I'm back in voiceover town again because I thought I fixed my live commentary microphone goodness, and it is not the case. So again, with the voiceover commentary, I was hoping to do live commentary, but again, I'm new to this whole video editing and recording thing, so clearly I have to do a little bit of homework before I get this sorted out, because I'd much rather do live commentary. I feel like live commentary is better because it talks more about what's going on the screen as it's happening, and I'll try to keep up the best I can in this way. Hopefully episode 3 will be a little better in that sense, but let's get started. So we're going to go to the High Wall of Lothric, and you teleport into this spot, and when you open this door you get a pretty sweet view. But before that, sometimes it's very common for people to not know how to teleport here because it's not a very intuitive thing. The Firekeeper mentions it. Not everybody pays attention to everything that the NPCs say. I know I'm skipping through all of it, so I'm not really helping in that sense. If you look, you can see pretty much everywhere you're going to be. I'm pretty sure that's the church where you can fight the dancer. And you can see it right from the beginning, which I always liked about the Dark Souls games, at least 1 and 3. You can usually see everywhere you're going to be, and you can kind of use that as a road map to get where you're going to go. There's a lot of summon signs over here. I think I'm like level 13 or something. Very, very low level, yeah, level 13, but there's already tons of quote-unquote sunbrowing occurring, which is nice. There's a lot of support for newer players to actually be able to make their way through the game. I'm not going to do really any summoning, especially in the beginning, because you don't really need to. You can, if you're doing it, playing along, feel free to take somebody along. They can Sherpa you through, and that's pretty helpful. A lot of times you'll find some new stuff that you might not have found on your own when you're summoning. To summon, you just go to the Handmaiden, and you buy a White Sign Soapstone. To be summoned, you would buy the White Sign Soapstone, and then you can put your sign down and have a good time. But you don't need it to summon, as you can see. I've found tons of summon signs already without it. So heading up this way just to grab the binoculars. You'll notice I'm just leaving a bunch of dudes alone. Like if they're not attacking me, I'm kind of not bothering with them. I used to kill them, but it's kind of not worth it. They don't give you a lot of souls, and sometimes they can damage you, and you gotta go back to the bonfire, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But you just pretty sweet dead dragon over here. Not really sure the lore implications of it. Later on, you find some dragons that have some interesting things going on with them, but right now just some dead ones where you see embers coming out of them. So I dropped down there and grabbed some gold pine resin. It's going to be really handy when we're fighting Vort, because Vort is weak to lightning, and that is really makes him easy. Kind of like in Dark Souls 1 where you get the Taurus Demon and you get the gold pine resin. It has a similar effect. Doesn't trivialize the fight, but it certainly makes it much easier for newer players. And even experienced players, just slap that on and you're good to go. You can really do a lot of damage quickly. But I'm going to head this way. This way is the more difficult way right off the bat. I don't think it's not the critical path, although down those stairs is a shortcut. So when you start trying to make boss runs, this is going to be the way that you end up going. And you can skip a lot of these enemies, but I'm going to just go through and clear them out. Dogs are super annoying in all the Dark Souls games. They jump around and it's not great. Usually I'll just turtle behind a shield, wait for them to go around me, and then attack them. Then you come over here, you get this halberd guy who is really good at dead angling me over there. Caught me off guard. Usually they're not that fast, but I'm not super great, so there's going to be a lot of just little stupid things, like I got caught with the crossbow. So come over here, and these guys are a huge pain in the butt, but they're pretty worth dealing with initially because they drop large Titanite shards. Excuse me, not large. Well, they do eventually, but not these. These ones drop Titanite shards and embers. Embers are alright. They're pretty scarce in the beginning of the game, but they'll be overflowing with them as time goes on, especially if you help people kill bosses, because every time you help somebody kill a boss, you're gonna get an ember, which is pretty great. These guys are weak to fire, so pretty much at first you're just gonna be, throwing fire bombs at them. That's what I'm gonna do. And it stuns them a little bit, but you can't stun lock them really. But dealing with them any other way is a huge pain because they're always writhing and wriggling, and it's just hard for me to figure out what's going to happen, what they're going to do. They just always seem like they're going to be attacking you, so I'm not good at dodging them. And I don't have 100% shield, so it's pretty much my only option. Otherwise, I'm just going to chip through and take all my stamina anyway. So, as you saw, like it hit me like 2 or 3 times. Not in a row, but every time it hit me, it was like a third of my life. And I took all my points and put it into HP, so I'm not, not the weakest character that you can have at this point, but I'm still, I got a decent amount of HP for the level that I'm at, with all the points I stuck into it, and it still chunks me down pretty quick. So we're just heading down here. I'm gonna make my way down and show you the rest of this level. Typically, I jump down onto that platform, but given that I'm recording, I'm probably going to take all sorts of stupid fall damage and all sorts of other things. I seem to have no luck when I'm recording. I don't know why, but it's just the case. So, I'm going to go over here, kill the spear guy. You can kick him. My input on the kick is usually not that great, so I don't try to rely on it. You head up these stairs, and there's a dragon that spawns. But if you sprint, and then you'll notice I do a little wheeling around over here. I'm trying to get the dragon to or the drake rather, to kill all the dudes. Because if you just run straight for the door, and you don't make it to the little safe area, you're gonna have just a whole team of dudes trying to kill you, as opposed to this one guy. And it's much easier to deal with the one guy that can't seem to make it through the door than a group of dudes that definitely will make it through the door, or 4 or 5 of them just swinging at the door trying to grind you up. There's a little safe area. It's like right on the borderline of it. You can hang out right around here and be completely safe, and you can shoot arrows at his little toe of this drake, and he'll eventually go away. You can't kill him, but if I'm not mistaken, if you make him go away, he'll give you either 1 or 2 large Titanite shards, which is pretty good right now. I mean, you're not going to need it until you get to like, I think +3 on the weapons. You need it to get +4. I could be wrong, but it's either +4 or +5. But it's a little early in the game to make use of the large Titanite shards. So I'm going over here trying to show you how to parry this guy. Normally, as soon as you run up to him, he'll just do an attack, and the timing on it is super easy to parry, but he just seems to... I can't seem to get it right now. So I'm just wheeling around, trying not to get killed, trying to get a parry on him, just clearly not working. So at this point, I'm just running away, just try to heal up, because I didn't want him to kill me. And I figured I'd jump down and heal up, and I figured if I could hit the Mimic, maybe the Mimic would fight him, because sometimes that happens. There's a demon that you end up fighting later on that you can smack the Mimic, and that Mimic will go and put in all sorts of work, typically kill the demon for you. It's kind of one-sided how much damage he does to the demon, but I guess these guys are, flagged as the same team or something, so they're just kind of hanging around waiting for me to jump down so they can kill me. So I figured, screw that, I'm not going to bother. But if you kill that Mimic, you can get a deep battle axe, which is pretty good early on. It doesn't have any scaling, so you don't have to worry about scale stats. And it does dark damage. Decent amount of things are, weak to dark damage. Maybe not so much in the beginning of the game, but dark damage is, pretty good. And it's going to hit harder than most anything else you're going to get right away. So it's a good little damage boost for the early game if you're using, axe-type weapons. I don't have the stats to use it, so I'm not going to bother getting it. You can throw Lloyd's Talismans or Undead Hunter Charms, they call them in this game, at the mimics, and it puts them to sleep. I was considering recording something like that later, but I ended up going a little longer than I wanted. This episode's like 45 minutes or so. I'm trying to keep them under an hour. And I don't know, I just felt like that would take longer than I wanted. So here I am, just trying to kill this knight again, and regain my honor a bit. And just parry whiffing like crazy. I don't know why. This dude's got my number. Just can't seem to get right with him, but I'm starting to get it now. A lot of these times you can swing at him and just chip away his health, but sometimes you can stagger him, sometimes you can't. They have hyper armor and like poise for some of their attacks, so it can be risky, especially if you don't do a whole lot of damage. Like me, I do barely any damage for, I do have, my knife hits pretty hard, I guess, when you get the bleed to proc, but it's not always the case. Sometimes you gotta hit them like 7-8 times to get bleed to work. So, it's just not worth the pressure because they'll out-trade you every time. So, usually I just try to parry him or get behind him. So, I'm gonna jump down here and, deal with this guy so I can show you where Greirat's cell is, because I'm gonna forget to free him, and then later on I'll go back to him. But you deal with this dude, and then usually there's a guy right over there underneath that unlit torch. I don't know why he's not there right now, but normally he'll be there and he'll throw firebombs and try to blow you up, and you gotta kind of sprint over and kill him. I've seen him not spawn a few times. I really don't know what the flag is to make him spawn or why that's even a thing. Yeah, it's just really confusing to me. I don't know what the significance of it may or may not be. Probably is no significance, but Dark Souls sometimes does really weird stuff and that has a lot of significance. So your guess is as good as mine. If anybody knows, please put a comment, because I sure would like to know, even if it is just, oh, I don't know, it's bugged. That seems a little better than just, oh, I don't know, just speculating that it's bugged. So you come on over here and get a small soul item, and if you go to the right, this dude's going to try to climb up. Usually if you have a stronger weapon, you just knock him off the cliff, not a big deal, but, the stupid bandit's knife does not do very well with that. So right now, there's going to be a pus of man that we end up fighting. If you look centered on my head, the guy that's facing to the right, he's going to turn into a pus of man. Now, typically, I'll fight him to try to get the Titanite shard, but right now, I don't have any firebombs, and I don't really feel like dealing with him. So, I'm just going to kill him. And there's a crystal lizard over here that I don't want to run away, because I really want that second raw gem. I lucked out with one, and having a second one would be excellent. So, I figured I'd just deal with that. As good as another Ember and a Titanite shard would be, I just didn't feel like it was actually worth the effort. So we head down here, and there's a few paths you can go. This guy's going to shoot at you with a crossbow right away, and he's got another guy that's covering him, so you got to watch out for that when you're killing him. And then there's a small ambush that happens right over here. These guys are pretty easy to kill. Just gonna be careful right where I am, because sometimes you'll roll and you jump off the ladder and die. I've done that a few times. I don't do it very often anymore, but it happens. And if you climb down that ladder, that's the critical path to get you to where you need to go. But if you look around over here, you get Black Firebomb, and you kind of have an idea of what's in store for you with that winged knight. So then I'm gonna head over here, and there's a Titanite shard and some Undead Hunter charms that I'm gonna want. So I'm just going through here and clearing it out. There's a guy to my right that I ignore, because usually you can knock that guy off no problem, first shot. But I'm not used to this bandit's knife, so I kind of ignored it and got stabbed a little in the back. But usually you can run over, smack that dude off, and then turn around and kill the other guy. Not really hit so hard at this yet. Those are those Undead Hunter charms I was telling you about. You can also use them if somebody's invading you or you're invading to keep people from healing with Estus, and that is really handy. Especially if, you got a dude that's just chugging away, which is, if you're invading, you're kind of being a dick, so it is what it is. But it's a good way to counter that, because you can just throw it, and then, especially like if they didn't notice that they got hit, it'll play like an animation, like he's mad and you try to like pour his Estus out and it doesn't want to go, and that's usually, you can get a free hit off of that, which is pretty nice, and really aggravating to the person that's trying to drink it. So it's added bonus if you're trying to troll. So there's a broadsword. A broadsword's actually really good, especially if you're making a strength build. It's really light. You can infuse it with heavy, and it makes an excellent like offhand weapon if you want like a faster weapon to switch up to, especially if you're playing against people. It's good to be able to switch up in PvP, change your timings around. So right here, if you're, my brightness used to be way down and I couldn't see it ever, but it's the Astora Straight Sword. It's probably going to be the best weapon that you're going to get right away. That's a Straight Sword class. You need 10 strength, 10 dexterity, and 12 faith to use it. And if you infuse it with raw, it's really good. It hits really hard. It hits much harder than other raw infused weapons. And at a low level, you're not really doing a lot of scaling damage, so it's pretty ideal. I don't have a lot of faith, so I'm not going to bother with it. I don't really feel like sinking 4 points into faith, and I don't really ever expect to use it. So, in the, to keep things streamlined, I'm not going to bother with it. But it is an excellent weapon, and it does a lot of damage, probably more damage than you're going to find out of any other weapon right away. So if you notice, I'm free aiming some fire bombs to try to hit these barrels and kind of just chisel these guys down a little bit, because otherwise they can overwhelm you really quickly and easily. And then I just did a plunging attack, and now I'm just going to run away and try to kite a few of them over and just deal with them over here where I have the ground to my advantage, and I can duck and dodge. And that's a lot of what PvE is going to be, is just finding things and trying to make them more manageable, because the game has a lot of really well designed ambushes that ooh, longsword, it's a good drop. It's actually really handy. I might use that later. Longsword is actually one of the best weapons in the game, and you can start off with it as a knight. It's kind of excellent. So right there's a Silver Eagle Kite Shield. That's the first 100% physical shield that you're going to find. And it's a weapon art shield, so it doesn't have a parry, but it's a medium shield, so parrying with medium shields isn't as easy as a small shield. Small shields have much more forgiving timing, so typically what you're going to see is people are going to have 100% shield and a parry tool, or they're not even going to bother with 100% shield, because after a while you can just dodge around and it doesn't become any sort of issue. You can just avoid things, you get better at it. But having 100% shield's a nice little security blanket that I like to have in some instances, especially certain bosses. Is like, it's not that there's no dodging, but the timing is so tight on it that it's nice to have 100% shield to just hide behind. And you'll notice there was a bunch of times where I just get chipped away with little stupid things, And 100% shield would have been nice. Like those crossbow guys are a pretty prime example of that. If I just had my shield up, I would have been fine. But that's little stuff like that that wears you down is gonna really kill you in the long run. So right now we're heading down to go kill a winged knight and proceed along the critical path. The winged knight's pretty easy. Just gotta kind of get behind him and backstab him, but he does hit pretty hard. And he's a lot like Gundyr in the fact that he's got big Gigantron halberd, and you just gotta kind of dodge the impact, not the wind up, and that's a lot of what that is. Sometimes he swings really fast, other times not so much. You just get behind him, backstab him, and then just hit him a few times on the wake up. Just avoid that attack, because it hits a lot, and if you don't dodge, you're going to get hit with it like 4 or 5 times, so it'll probably kill you. But because I have so much health, it's not really a problem. And just Pillars of Light, it's like 50-50 whether or not it's going to get you. I just dodge around and hope it doesn't get me. 50-50. Sometimes it gets you, sometimes it don't. If it does, it hits you pretty hard. And then there's like an Ember, and I think you get your Rapier over here, which used to be a really popular PvP weapon, but I have not seen it in a really long time. I'm not really sure why, but they probably nerfed it in some way, or they just found a better thrust weapon to use. Like the S-Talk. I haven't seen the S-Talk in a while either. Maybe I'm just, I don't play at that high of a level that you see all the super meta stuff. That's usually the case. I don't really see a lot of meta stuff, but a great club often has like little Hamburglar cosplay. It makes me laugh, but that's getting off topic here. So if you run this way and you go to this roof, there's a Ring of Sacrifice and a large soul item. The Ring of Sacrifice is less useful in this one than it is in the first one, but it's still pretty useful. Say you want to, say you died and you want to get a run up to get your souls. That's gonna help a lot. I don't know what just happened here with my video editing. I certainly screwed something up. Either way, after you get that, you go over, there's an ambush, and usually I'll just hop on this elevator and ride it up, because there's a bottomless pit under there, and I don't know why or where they're finding bottomless pits to build elevators over, but video game stuff is video gamey. Then you open this door, and there's that guy with the great axe again. You can usually dodge him pretty well, but once you open that door, and you just head back down the elevator. Usually they won't follow you. If they do, they'll take some fall damage, and it can lead to some interesting elevator fights, but usually that's not the case. And then you head down and finish clearing these guys out. And there's Green Blossom over there, which is a pretty handy item that I often forget to use. All these items, they give them to you so you can use them, so don't just save them up for, they're usually not going to be the difference between living and dying. Like, they're not so good that they're going to give you such a super edge, but they usually are good enough to use in general, just to make your life a little easier. And I got myself in a bit of a situation over here with these 2 knights. I really shouldn't have messed with them without getting more Estus at the bonfire, but we'll see how this works out. This Shield Knight's probably going to give me the most trouble. They usually are the ones that do. But if you can try to like kite one away from the other and do some damage to it, and then just chip away, kind of a running fight. And then if you get them low enough, you can just get them together, throw a firebomb at them, and just done with it. These items are to be used, and they, that one definitely got me out of a pretty hairy situation that would more than likely kill more newer players if they get themselves into that situation. and not be able to run away, because those dudes will chase you for a while. Right now I'm just gonna go and talk to this old woman so I can get the banner and other like quest items, so I don't have to run up here later if I, for some reason, am having a really hard time. I don't know if you noticed, I glanced back at that window, but that's that same window that you could see when we first went through the door. And yeah, it's a cool little touch, because it's not that far, but it's definitely far enough, and you can just use it as a little compass to get from point A to point B. You can fight the dancer in here later. I was thinking about messing around with that in this episode, but that might be a later on thing, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to tackle the dancer before, level 30. But right now I just homeward bone back to the bonfire at the shrine. That way I can go and, get my extra Estus flask out of that shard and do a little weapon upgrading, since all I was going to do was run back to a bonfire anyway. It just saves me some time. It's nice to always have a bone or two, and since I have 2 raw gems, I can just make this bandit knife raw and not really worry about it, and get a little damage boost out of it easily, and get it up to +1. If I had another shard, I could get it up to +2, but +1's fine for now. I'm still very early on in the game, so weapon upgrades are good, but they're not vital yet. I'm not going to be swinging away forever and ever and not doing any damage to them. Yeah, I don't have the stats to do the katana just yet. I think you need 16 and 11. 16 dex, 11 strength.
Very well, then take note.
With the strength requirements, if you two-hand it, you just take your strength and multiply it by 1.5, and that'll, if you meet the requirement at that point, then you can just two-hand it, and that works out well. And that's what I'm going to end up doing later with the katana, because I end up leveling up to that point. But right now I just took health, because health is universally good. And I'm going to head back to the High Wall Lothric bonfire, and then just going to take the shortcut back, and going to kill the red-eyed knight with the blue cape. I think he's a Royal Guard knight or something like that. I can't remember what the exact name of the knight is, but he drops a refined gem, which used to be one of the best infusions in the game, but I just started balancing some of the other infusions out, so it's not strictly the best, but it's still pretty good. Probably not going to be using it with this character, so I end up using sharp gems. It's like a dex build, or maybe hollow, I don't know, it depends. I'm trying to get this to be a multi build, and since they nerfed Karthus Rouge, it might actually require something different. But when you go in here, don't jump down that hole. That elevator will stay where you leave it, so if the last time you were in it was down, it'll stay down. And if the last time you were in it was up, it'll stay up, just like that. It's one of the things that the world actually remembers. It doesn't like reset at a bonfire, which is a little weird when you think about it. But I mean, this is not real life, so you can't apply everything, normal physics to it. These guys, you're going to want to deal with them one at a time, if you're going to deal with them two at a time, really, with like a slashing weapon. Thrust is not going to be too useful. And took a little more damage than I thought I would over there, but it's alright. I have plenty. You don't really need a lot to take out Vort. Maybe one Estus flask. Usually, it's really easy to dodge his attacks. You just get underneath him and stab him in his little genital area, or whatever he's got left over there, and that works out pretty well. So with these guys, I like to try to kite them, and usually the lock-on system works better than that. But just kite one away and then just deal with them one at a time. It makes life a lot easier. Because 2 of them, as you saw, was complicated. 1 of them is less so. Camera angle works with you ever. The camera will definitely get you killed in this one if you're next to walls and stuff. But killed that dude. Now we're gonna go with the spear. Spear guy. Spear guy with a tower shield can be a real pain because he loves to use that tower shield, and it puts you in staggers you. It just interrupts everything you're doing. It's really annoying. It's got a little push to it. Sometimes I like to try to unlock and get around and backstab him, but I have mixed results with that. Usually I just try to find that nice angle where I can get around his shield like that and just spam away. You don't usually have to hit him so many times, but the bandit knife hits really not hard at all. And then over here, kill that guy. I don't know why he swung at that rail like that. I don't know. The AI with the knights has been really weird lately. I've been able to like predict them. Normally they just go right for you, but not this time. You go over here and get the Lucerne, which is pretty good polearm style weapon. All the attacks are thrust attacks. You can make really good use of it with the Leo ring, especially if you're hitting counterattacks and you're outranging things. You just outspace it and then just kind of stab it and get counterattack damage, which is really nice because the Leo ring it adds up a lot. So this guy, you can just kind of walk real slowly, backstab him, watch his cage do weird things, and then just hit him a bunch on the way out. Right now, I'm just getting real greedy, trying to get bleed to work, and hit me twice. It's not bad. Normally, it's a lot harder, especially if he blesses his weapon like that. But this dude, he can be harder than the boss. A lot of times, I'll get killed by him more than the boss because I'm not saying he has unlimited stamina, but it seems that way sometimes. And once he has blessed weapon out, he hits like a truck. And these two guys are covered by this crossbow guy over here, so we're gonna deal with them. Make sure we kill him first. He'll just be taking crossbow bolts to the back. These guys don't have a lot of stability on their wooden shields, so you can just kick them and just riposte them. Deal with them. If you have a bigger weapon, you can just hit it a few times. And if you two-hand your weapon, it doesn't recoil off the shield as much. I'm pretty sure that's a mechanic that they kept from Demon's Souls. But right there's the Swordmaster NPC summon you can have, and he can come and help you out with this if you want, but he's not the most useful. So I'm putting the Gold Pine resin on before I get to the door, because that's when he spawns in. I'll just be quiet and let you watch this cool little cutscene that doesn't have any music because I muted my music. So this is Bort. Pretty cool design boss, but he plays a lot like most other beast bosses. Just roll in between his legs, just roll straight into him, and get under him, and just hit him right in the butt, and just keep on whacking away until he's dead. I don't like to lock on too much with him, because sometimes he runs around and the camera angle just almost never advantageous. So we just kind of chip away at him, and he'll get to his little beast mode. And then he does his breath attack, which will punish him a little bit. Life becomes a little easier. Because he doesn't stop right away when you hit him, which is nice, so you can really punish him. And that's it, that's Bort. Pretty straightforward boss fight. He's not the hardest, but like with all the other bosses and all the dudes that have massive weapons, you gotta dodge the impact, not the wind up. And then you'll have a pretty easy time with him. So you get over here and the camera pans out pretty noticeably, so you can get a pretty sweet view. If you look down there, there's Farron's Keep with the 3 torches you have to put out later. And I think that's the Cathedral of the Deep. I'm not 100% sure. You don't really get a good look at it from far away that often, so I'm not 100%. Right over there where my head is, you fight a stray demon. It's a pretty cool fight. And below that is the watchdog of the Old Wolf of Farron, which is pretty cool. And then right over there where that archway is where you're going to be going when you raise this banner. And right there is looks like the cursed rotted great wood tree that you fight. I'm not sure if that stays when you kill it. It's something I should check. That'd be a neat little detail that I feel like they would actually do. Put the time in to change. And yeah, just a pretty cool view. And you can use it as a compass to kind of figure out where you're going to be. So then you get a little cutscene, you lift this banner, and then you get these demons from the first one, which you may recognize if you played the first one, or be like, what are these stupid things if you haven't. And I haven't played through the Ring City DLC yet at all, because all my guys are on like New Game Plus Plus, and I don't really feel like chumping my way through it right now. But I don't know if you see these guys ever again, other than, like, they're not even over in Anne Orlando where they were before. Like, this is just kind of pandering to the, oh, look at that, I remember that, like that kind of thing, which is kind of a lame design choice, I think. But if you look above my head, there's the giant in the distance shooting his huge arrows, which is pretty nice little detail. This game is just full of little details, which is really nice. And all the Dark Souls have been like that. If you just pay attention, you see all sorts of cool stuff. So right here is a little purple summon sign, so I figured I'd summon him real quick and get a little PvP action, just to see what low-level PvP might be like. Because typically when you see the purple signs, they're like, they want to fight, and almost, but sometimes you get some really off-the-wall, interactions. I used to do a lot of purple bro summoning, and then I'd get like warmth, and I'd just follow people around and just heal them, or throw prism stones all over the place to make everything pretty, and like they'd try to kill me, and I'd just parry them and not like riposte them. And so he's bowing, so I'm feeling like he's wanting to fight me. But it doesn't seem like it, the way that he's moving around. It seems like he actually wants to help me out, which is kind of a bummer. And I can't send him home with a black crystal, so I'm gonna try to jerkily gesture at him so he comes and wants to fight me, but I'm thinking I'm probably just gonna have to jump off a damn cliff, because it doesn't seem like he wants to fight, and I don't really want to prolong this video. I don't really want to go through the undead settlement just this minute, so I'll try another bow. Voice chat would be, pretty great, and you can just say things, but I guess that would take away from the experience. Yeah, so he's not about that life, so I think I'm just gonna hop off a cliff and give him a free vertebra shackle, because he was trying to do the right thing and be nice. That's not what I'm trying to do right now, so I'll just sacrifice the ember and just whatever, just deal with it. Go get my souls. And I need to go and free Greirat because I forgot to do that. So I'm going to do that right now. If you go to the tower on the wall, bonfire, you can just skip a lot of those enemies, jump right down, and just make it so that you have to fight the guy with the halberd and the guy with the bomb and the dude that's just kind of leaning against the wall, which is pretty easy to deal with. You just kind of wait, and then you jump down there, roll down this hole, and there's the guy with the halberd. He was really good at hitting me today. And there's the guy with the bomb. I don't know what made him spawn there this time and not the other time. I really just couldn't. Whatever. Just sprint up to him and kill him before he throws that firebomb. Otherwise, you'll have a bad time. And you run down here once you have the key. Open up the cell, and he'll give you a little mission to go on, like a little request. You have to bring a ring to a woman named Loretta at the undead settlement at the foot of the high wall. And, it's the blue tear stone ring. I don't know how useful this will be to Loretta, but you know, it's barely useful to the player character, so who the hell knows why he's giving it, but I'll put it on right now anyway, because there's no reason not to. I have no other rings to wear other than the Ring of Sacrifice, and it's not really worth wearing that all the time. So pretty much right now I'm just going to run back to the bonfire, go to Firelink Shrine and level up my stuff. Probably going to infuse the Uchigatana with Raw and get my stats to the point where I can use it. And that's probably going to be the end of the episode. Pretty sure I got everything. Other than, you know, the Mimic, getting that out of the chest over there, and the items that Drake is guarding. There's a Claymore, I think like an Ember. Claymore is decent. It's not as good as it was in the first one, but it still has the same moveset, so if you want a little nostalgia, and it looks cool, which is, you know, if you're just doing PvE, that's a lot of it right there, just looking cool. My character has no fashion souls at the moment, so it doesn't really matter. So you can go and sell all these souls. It doesn't give you any less than if you were to just eat them, like in the first one. The Soul of Vort gets you his mace, which can inflict frostbite, and it takes like a ton of strength to use, and I'm sure they've patched it so that the frostbite procs sooner now, but I don't know. It's not a great weapon. It's fun because it's enormous and it's like usually pretty hilarious to hit things with ignorantly large weapons, but the Great Club is just strictly better if you're gonna have a great club type weapon. And the other, it gives you a ring. I think it's like the Pontiff's left or right eye, and the more you hit things, the more damage it does, or it's either that or it gives you life depending on how many times you hit something. I can't remember what it is. Either way, it's not like great, so unless you're trying to get all the rings, it's not really worth it. I know they've patched it recently, but I haven't got a chance to like play around with it. It'd probably work alright with my dagger build because I have to hit everything 100 times. But it's yeah. So I don't have enough strength to use the katana one-handed, so I'm gonna just two-hand it because I need one more strength, and that should meet the requirement. But I'm just gonna infuse it with Raw, and it's like another 15 damage than what I would have had already, which is, it's not the worst, but it's easy to, really easy to undo infusions in this game. It doesn't really cost anything. Like a Shriving Stone and a couple hundred souls, or you can just overwrite them with other infusions, so there's really no reason not to put something on something because you're worried about, you know, later on I'm gonna have to undo it because I'm gonna do something else with it. So yeah, you might as well just use the resources you have when they're available to you, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So the katana is it's slower than the dagger, but it's still pretty quick. And two-hand moves, so that's okay. A lot of vertical. And they really slowed down that stab with the patch, but you can still like do running stabs buffered into each other, and it's not terrible. It's not as good as it used to be, but it still works. So that's the end of the episode right now. Maybe I'll talk about buffered, the buffered running attacks in the next one. Just do a little, show you what it looks like and how to do it. But thanks for tuning in, and sorry about a few video glitches, but I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.